Honestly, I was really disappointed with the Primordial Tarot that I bought. This is a deck that I pre-ordered. I rarely pre-order. I try my best to look at the art, look at the quality of the cards, look at everything I can about this deck. The only way I could see this one before pre-ordering was the Tarot of the Origins, which I was really comfortable in ordering because this was meant to be a borderless version. And I had all these assumptions, I guess, all these assumptions or preconceived expectations of this deck that wasn't sadly attained. Hi my friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Casper the Boy Diviner, and today I wanted to talk about the Primordial Tarot. And it's by Sergio. I really like this art. I really think the art is amazing. I just have so many niggles about some of the design choices that they made in this deck. The box is lovely. And I'll go through with you guys a flip through of this deck, but I just wanted to quickly talk about some of the things I wasn't really happy about. I don't know if you guys know, but the Primordial Tarot is not a traditional tarot. There are a lot of differences between this and the traditional RWS system. So if you take a look at some of the walkthroughs of Tarot of the Origins, you will see that everything is different. You will see that in images later. But more importantly is that the names of certain major arcana are changed, and every minor arcana actually has a name now. That's what Sergio did or when he created this deck. I don't know why, but they chose not to include any of these names in the deck. For example, number 2 is meant to be the High Priestess, right? In the RWS. But here it's actually the Great Mother. The Great Mother. But there's no sign of the name. It really doesn't affect that card that much because the High Priestess is still the High Priestess. The Great Mother has the feeling of a High Priestess. But there are some things that changed completely. For example, the Tower in traditional RWS is now the Standing Stone. If the name was here the Standing Stone, that would give me the feeling of a standing stone or some sort of cliff. And the guidebook talks about a standing stone like this, you see. Someone builds a tower, they climb up to the top and marvel at their achievement. This is very different from the tower that we know and love. Another big difference is, for example, the Judgment card. In this deck, it's not called the Judgment card, it's actually Prey. And Prey makes a lot of sense with the imagery. But if you told me that this was Judgment, I'll be so confused. Like, how is this Judgment? So I kind of feel like the deck wants me to read it in a certain way, but the design choices without the names don't help at all. It makes me confused because when I see the number, I think about the RWS system. I can't help that, or because it's what I'm trained to do, you know? So if the deck wants me to read it the way it's designed, they should actually help me by providing those names. I don't understand also why they chose to do this triangle thing on the left and the right and put the same number. I don't get that. Give me the name somewhere, you know, maybe down here. If the name is too long, then actually just add on a bit longer and then have that, you know, just tell me the Great Mother, for example, at the bottom. I think that would have been so much more useful. If you have seen the deck also, each suit has a color and they chose to make the borders that same color as if we don't have enough representation in the image itself. Look at this image, it's all blue. They chose to add more blue here and they chose to add the suit here as if we don't know that blue is, you know, the cups of this tarot. And it's not cups, you know, the suits have changed and each pip has its own name. So if it really does want us to use it, it should be, you know, the Suit of Soul. Just tell me Ace of Souls, you know, for example, at the beginning. And there's so many changes. You see this, the aces are etchings, the 2s are age, and you wouldn't know from just seeing this card. This suit is useless to me. Instead, it should be age, you know, something like that, age. 3 is the Mask of the Soul. So instead of this suit, it should say mask. This would really help me read the deck better. And that's why I'm so disappointed, just because the design choices makes this deck really hard to read for someone who wants to get to know the deck. Basically, I will have to memorize the names of 1 to 10, including the chords. Also, the chords, they had this very strange decision. So instead of just naming it, like this would be the Child of Souls, they put 11. I want to say that from afar might seem like it's 2, which is the High Priestess, but because it's blue, we know that it's a pip. But I don't know why for the chord cards they decided to show us numbers. That is so strange. It's just such a strange decision, you know? So overall, I am very disappointed with this deck. I haven't even got into the cardstock yet. The cardstock is terrible. To me, it's really glossy and it's really thick and inflexible, so it's really hard to shuffle. The deck has become so chunky. Yeah, I'm gonna turn the camera around so you guys can actually have a good look at the images in this deck, which I love. I love the images, and that's why it's so disappointing, because the design choices by the company failed this deck. I would say that they failed this deck, they failed this art. To caveat this, these are all my opinions, and if I were to have designed this deck, I would have done it very differently. Tell me whether you agree with me or not. I might be wrong here, but I felt the deck would have been much better designed if the actual names that Sergio Topi picked were on the cards themselves, instead of just the numbers, which will make us think about the RWS, you know, which is a totally different system from this one. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around now, I'm sorry again, and you guys can look at the images and my first impressions and talk through about these cards. So the box is pretty good, it's pretty sturdy, it opens from the top, so you can't just lift this up because it will open the deck. If you want to lift it up, you have to hold the bottom, which is fine. I guess this is a perfectly serviceable box. It's quite a snug fit. I took out the title card so that it wouldn't be too tight. The book is amazing, okay? The book is really good. Most of it is other languages, but the parts that is in English is really interesting, is really good. So I do like the spreads, I do like the twist that Sergio Topi actually gave this deck. The problem is, you can't tell it from the deck itself. And I think I complained enough in the intro, but you know, I can't help but feel like this deck was such a waste of art just because of some of the design choices they've made. I'm gonna put the book right here so that we are able to read it as we go along, so we know the names of the actual cards. So this is the Fool. Makes sense with the egg here because that's the Fool's birth. The Magician. How glossy it is and how thick it is. I'll do a shuffling thing later on so that we know. The Magician, reaching to the skies. The Great Mother, beautiful. The Mother. The art is incredible. I just don't know if they tilted the image to make it like this, or if they cut out pieces of the image to have these things. That's a design choice that I really think is a bad choice. The Father. The Shaman instead of the Hierophant. The use of his hagstone. So this is a hagstone. Union instead of Lovers. Again, I think I mentioned this for the Bhutan Tarot. I always wish that things were more ambiguous for the Lovers, but I guess because this is primordial, people is in the past. I don't fault this deck for it. The Chariot, I wish this was more action oriented, but I kind of see the power of a symbol here for the Chariot, so that's really interesting. You need to, it's so interesting, see? Before a chariot can exist, there must be an idea of the chariot. So it really calls back to the hermetism, you know, of things where ideas are in the news before they become real. 8. Instead of strength, this is abundance. Can you tell how different this is? You know, without this, I'll be thinking, why is this strength? How is this strength? It doesn't make sense. Knowing that it's abundance and him finding an ore vein, that makes so much more sense than strength, you know? So I really am sad that this doesn't have abundance on the card itself. If it stated abundance here, in smaller font even, that would have been so much more helpful than seeing the numbers twice. You know, what's the point? What's the point of 2 numbers? The Hermit. You can see the figure here. He's the Hermit. Well, this is so interesting. This is because it's in a skull, right? It's so easy to be lost in your own mind. Oh, that's so interesting. Meditation really helps you with that. Instead of fortune, this is time. This is also the same symbol at the back of the cards. 11, instead of justice, this is creative power. This is so different, can you tell? Creative power, number 11. So it's not justice. And looking at this card, you know it's not justice, but you don't know what card this really means. You know, this feels more Empress than anything, because Empress always is traditionally a pregnant woman, and I really appreciate them using this for number 11 and creating this new creative power, creativity, you know, instead of having the standard justice. Maybe because in the primordial days there was no such thing as law. So I really like this different interpretation. Instead of the Hanged Man, it's sacrifice. So even though the Hanged Man has other meanings like different perspectives, you know, meditation, understanding others, I think sacrifice, focusing on the sacrificial part of it makes sense for the Primordial Tarot. I just wish the name was here again. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep repeating these complaints because people do jump around and I feel compelled to talk about it every single time I feel frustrated, okay? Death, beautiful. It's neither good or bad. The rhinoceros represents the natural experience of physical death. It can also represent our shadow. Amazing. 14 is not temperance, but it's the source. Water is kind of the meaning for temperance here. I love the shapes here, you know. 15, the demon and not the devil. The demon wears a mask, which is an important ritual tool. So this is less about being trapped. This is about facing your hidden self, facing your shadow, finding what's lost, a bit of soul retrieval. The mask help us find and love the exiled spirit, so it does no more harm. So this reminds me of, you know, feeding your demons. I think that's a book that I read a long time ago. Again, I wish this was stated, demon, you know. The standing stone instead of the tower. I think I talked about this in the intro. The star. It's amazing. It's, oh gosh, I don't even know what's the right. I feel like this was reversed by accident. This feels more right. And this shows, you know, the fire that we create is the same as the stars above, and we are also part of that star. Beautiful. The moon. And the sun. Again, I talked about this in the intro, the prey instead of judgment. It's talking about the pursuit, the chase, the trials, the initiation, and the world. Beautiful. Okay, that's the major arcanas. Let's go to the suit of the soul. So this deck starts with soul, and soul is the representation of the cups. And each of this again has a name that is not stated here. Instead, they show us this useless cup. I'm so sorry, I'm so annoyed with all the design choices here. I wish it instead showed something like, said the name, you know. So this is etching. The ace is the etching of the soul. 2 is the age of the soul, the old shaman. The write-up is beautiful, guys. When you get this, you really need to read through the guidebook because it really adds to your understanding. I mean, most guidebooks do, but I feel like without the guidebook here, you really don't get it, especially because they don't give you the names at all, so you don't really understand. You don't understand the focus here is about the age, you know? This could be someone that you don't know. I'm sorry if the camera is shaking again. This is the mask of the soul, the dancing sorcerer, the bones of the soul, number 4. So I do need to make a little cheat sheet, you know, 1 to 10, what are the names? 5 is the stone of the soul. 6, the right of the soul. And I really love how the colors are mixed here. 7, the era of the soul. All people have the ability to remember their connection to spirit and to maintain that connection. We all have the responsibility to take care of our own soul. The young woman in the image is using a tool to focus her magic. Amazing. Developing new practices, finding balance. 7 of Cups. You know, it's not the traditional looking at illusion kind of thing. 8 is the spirit of the soul. Doubt, loss of faith, trying things that no longer work. The shaman is beating his drum crazily, you know, frantically. The old rites are not bringing the medicine that they need. So interesting. The birth of the soul. His body and ego has dissolved into nothingness. And then 10 is the environment of the soul. Illumination, meditating. So this deck is really different, you see. And again, my gripe with this silly court cards. Why don't they write child? You know, child here instead of 11. Child of the soul. The boy has to raise the heavy mask from the bottom of the lake. There is no one here to help him. The animal of the soul, the rhinoceros. Poor eyesight. Paying attention to potential dangers. Supervision of one's impulses. The woman of the soul. She faces a difficult decision. Putting on a mask is not a game. Difficult choices and acting from healthy and pure motives. The man of the soul. The aged shaman has a lifetime of experiences. So this is about life experience. An honored teacher, a wise and skilled person. Okay, now we move on to the jewels. The jewels are the pentacles. And they are signified by yellow. So again, ace is the etching of jewels. The beginning of a project, pretty standard. The age of jewels. Understanding, learning, crafting with materials and crafting one's soul. The mask of jewels. A lot of masks in this deck which I like. Skilled work, meaningful work, which is pretty standard in the RWS as well, so that's not too different. Bones of jewels, this is so beautiful, this card. I love these eyeless statues. Marking an occasion, work that endures, you know, work that endures. Stone of jewels. Finding shelter. Making a home, comfort, safety, security. So it does call back to the RWS, but instead this person has succeeded finding shelter. The Rite of Jewels. Ritual items, symbols, remembering your vows and good omens. Talks about, you know, using your ritual items again and again and again, and they gain power as you use them more. I love that advice. Era of Jewels. Heirlooms, traditions, practices from the past, balancing the past and present. Spirit of Jewels. The 8. Creation again, feminine power, sympathetic magic. So this is really a magical deck. If I could do the witchy decks again, I would add this to the count because I feel like this is a good masculine witchy deck. Birth of Jewels. Useful items, practical work, mutual benefit. Environment of Jewels. This woman is taking time to revel in the joyous acknowledgement that nature is the source of physical life. She's appreciating her surroundings. The Child of Jewels. Joy, play, indulgence. A good friend. Animal of Jewels is this little bird. So interesting. Material need, searching for needed resources. A lack of money. So interesting for, you know, the Animal of Jewels, a lack of money. The Woman of Jewels. Power, skill, resources, ability to earn wealth. This woman with her proud, confident pose is wearing an elaborate bracelet made from the bones of an animal, including its skull. Man of Jewels. This is a robust man looking prosperous and well pleased with life. So there's a resemblance to Henry VIII here. Authority, responsibility. The Suit of Nature is the next one, and this is the Wand suit. It is colored in green. So it's all the same, again, the etching of nature. The root of the problem or question, look below the surface. So it talks about really the root of nature. The age of nature, a happy development, joy and fun for its own sake, and simple luxuries. The Mask of Nature, I really like this card. Experiencing a reality unlike her own, she grows in wisdom and understanding. Connection with the spirit world, seeing other realities, empathy for and understanding others. The Bones of Nature, reality, what's good and bad. The Stone of Nature. The gorilla is balancing a stone on his head, a balanced approach. That's so interesting, you know, because the Five of Wands is really about conflict. This deck is really all over the place. Some of it seems to be relating to the... Yeah, I feel like this is more of a numerological deck. I just really wish they put like stone here. So you know that all the fives are all stones. All the fives are all about stability. The Right of Nature. A time of waiting, which is really traditionally the Seven of Pentacles. But here, you know, he's looking at the plant growing. And this kind of makes sense because this is the nature suit now. The Era of Nature. Progress. A lot of progress has been made over time. The Past. Lost knowledge. Learning from those who have came before. The Spirit of Nature. Everything that exists. Taking time. Moving slowly. I really love this image. I almost can see other faces within the bark. And then there's one here. Then there's the green sun with that bird. The Birth of Nature. This person is harvesting. Self-sufficiency, hard work, bountiful rewards, helping others. The Environment of Nature, you know, the nature around you. Finding support during a hard time, reaching out for help. So different from the Ten of Wands, you know. The Child of Nature. I really do want to like this deck. I really like the interpretations here. But the cardstock and the design choices make it really hard. I'm still going to try. With this deck. The Animal of Nature. This is a monkey. Needing and taking rest. So different from the Knight of Wands, you know. Woman of Nature. Feminine strength. Courage. Motherhood. Joy in creation. So sometimes I feel like there's a bit of overlap because it all revolves around creativity, like in the major arcana where the justice becomes creativity. Beautiful. Man of Nature. From a place of serene calmness, this parental figure observes us with awareness and concern. That is so beautiful. You can really see that expression. Being of service to others. And then the final is the Suit of Blood, which is the sword suit. Okay. The Etching of Blood, doing what must be done, ability to be a hunter or warrior, and the primal drive to survive. The Age of Blood, and instead of an animal, this is a human skull at the bottom. So it does talk about, you know, about how he has taken someone else's life. So there's a quarrel of a high cost. The two of, so it's like a warring because it's two. So two swords fighting against each other instead of one person not making a choice. This was a difficult choice that was made. The Mask of Blood. So there's a mask again here. This looks more like a helmet. A different point of view. Finding and taking advice. Consider all options. So this mask is designed for war. Bones of Blood. Constant vigilance. So that's more like the Nine of Wands, but it's the Four of Swords here. Bones of Blood. Five of Blood. Five of Swords, which is the Stone of Blood. So something stable, I'm guessing, because again, this is the stone. If stone was here, it would be clearer. Looking for the right opportunity and avoiding unnecessary danger. So there is a stability here. I'm hoping to get used to these numerological correspondences so I can use this deck. The Rite of Blood. There's a lot of vomiting, it seems. Either he's eating or vomiting. Okay, they eat what was killed, so it's eating. Doing what is necessary, successful completion and survival. The Era of Blood. So it feels like sevens are all the eras and they're all about past practices. And here's honoring the ancestor to learn their skills and knowledge. He's a Neanderthal, so interesting. The Spirit of Blood. Unforeseen challenges and the ultimate victory. Looks like the prey here is really powerful, and that's why it's difficult. There's a struggle. Birth of Blood. So 9 is all the births. Completion, endings, beginnings, continuity, connection. When the baby emerges, the mother loses a connection that has been part of her in an integral way for 9 months. So it's a death of sorts, but now she has a new life to care for. Interesting. Environment of Blood. satisfaction, human culture, more than survival mode. So interesting that this is the Ten of Swords. You see, the more positive cards and suits for the tens in this deck don't seem so positive, but this one, the Ten of Swords, becomes more positive. You know, fighting for more than just survival. Child of Blood, rival, no zero-sum game, and a clear winner and loser. The Animal of Blood, which is a beautiful bear. The need to take action, the desire to do something, try anything to survive. The Woman of Blood, swift decisions, aggressive, attack or defense. She's covered in fresh blood, she's using this knife to kill. And then the Man of Blood. The hippo seems to be the warrior spirit animal. He is powerful and large, so arrogance, misuse of power, bullying behavior. Oh, I really like the book, I really like the write-ups, they're also interesting. But at the same time, I don't know if I can use this deck. I'm going to shuffle them now. Shuffling like this feels okay. The cards are glossy, so it's slippy. It just feels a bit chunky, a bit thick. Feels a bit cardboardy while I shuffle. If you're not a cardstock snob, I think this would be okay for you. I just wish it was a touch thinner, I guess. Then it would be more like the Llewelyn cardstock. Honestly, this is a Llewelyn deck, right? I'm not sure. I got the Low Scarabeo version. It just feels a bit thicker than usual. I'm going to riffle shuffle here to show you how difficult it's going to be. Because you can see it's pretty thick and really hard to bend. Oh gosh. So, yeah, it's not easily riffle shuffled, which is important to me. It might not be important to you, and then if so, this cardstock should be serviceable for you. I'm going to try one more time because I want to do a quick general reading for everyone again, as I do with all my new decks. Can I get a general reading for everyone watching to the end of this video? A piece of advice that would be applicable to everyone who's watching to the end of this video. Okay, that was better. I guess I just need some practice and maybe stronger fingers. One more time. Can I get advice for everyone who is watching to the end of this video? Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. So I guess this time it didn't go so well. Sorry about this, guys. Can I get advice for everyone watching to the end of this video? Okay. So this is abundance and not strength. 10 reversed. And the Queen of Wands. To find your abundance, sometimes you need to learn how to be more ruthless and listen to your gut instead of your mind and just go for it. But you might hurt people sometimes, so you want to be more aware of your surroundings, especially how people react emotionally to you, because this is the environment of souls. I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to quickly show you the write-up for the environment of souls. So meditating, fruitful reflections, I guess there is no time for meditation now because this is kind of a reverse card. Just go for it, you know, go follow your gut. This will lead you more to abundance at this point in time, guys. Okay, hope this makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. If you have anything to comment, please comment below. Happy to talk about this deck, especially if you enjoy it and you can take you find a way to understand these cards easily without having the names on them. Let me know, okay? You guys have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye.